come to my attention that there's some people out there that are just now downloading this game that really seem to need a gloss over guide, or at least it would be helpful. And I think we can do that here pretty quickly. For instance, the region inducer, once you use those, that's it. Like, once you use them, they're gone. When you rest, they don't come back. Those are different than your actual potions here. Your regeneration potions, those come back. Run. That just gives you back the ability to use your skills more. The Ichor is that thing in the bottom right where you press your R2. Kind of certain that most people already know that you can only use certain moves with certain weapons. Like, for instance, I can't use any of those moves with a sword. On top of that, oops. Don't be using things like this. Just ignore them until you get something like that, the Misty Root, because that you'll actually be able to return to your bonfire basically without losing all your stuff. There's a bunch of this anti-stun and whatnot that you're gonna accumulate. It more than likely will be helpful during your boss fights, depending on what you're doing. I just hold on to them. I'm sure quite a few people have been obtaining these, and from what I can see, not using them. Basically, they just increase the number of times you can generate regeneration can be used. You just go to your inventory and use it. You don't have to equip it to a bar or something. You just click use. Like, there we go. I used it. On top of that, these things. It's just to give you more level up experience, really. That's about all. They all say how much they give you. You shouldn't really be equipping these hot bars or anything. There's not really a need when you can just select how many you want to use in the inventory. I would ignore stuff like this. I honestly don't know what that's about at the moment. These are pretty rare, but you can get a hold of them in the future. It's just you can only hold one. I'm pretty certain that's just about all, though. Chemical Light's pretty useless, in my opinion. Kind of glossing over what you can and cannot use. I feel like a few people have been a little bit lost on how the system works for the gifts. I'll just gloss over that really quickly. So, for instance, you can run any of these, what we're going to call classes. You know, Ranger, Fighter, Caster. Any of those classes you can run, and let's say, for instance, you're running around as the Ranger. These little bars, whenever they have been maxed out, basically, because I can press triangle and use a currency to max it out if I wanted to, but the point is I could just use it, and by just using this class, it'll level it up slowly over time, or I can use the currency to level it up. But the fact is, whenever you level them up and their proficiencies at max, and you've mastered them, you're able to use them or other classes' abilities that are maxed out on other classes. So, either using the currency to max out other classes, or just using other classes and maxing them out is ultimately your goal if you want to build your main class. So, for instance, my Queen Slayer, I only like the 3 or 4 different moves that it has, but it's just that it's very well rounded compared to a lot of the other classes, so I can equip a lot of the things that I want to equip. Because they all have basically stats, and we're looking down there below Ichor, where it's strength, dex, mind, will, vitality, and fortitude. those are going to change depending on your class, and if you don't meet the requirements to use certain, like you might see a spell, I don't have any on there right now, but you'll see some that are crossed out. And that's because, for instance, like if I wanted to equip this, I would need a C in Fortitude. Well, if I were to have done all that maxing out and proficiencies and whatnot for some of these other classes, I will have gained something that will increase my vitality. And then that might give me the ability to equip that said spell. What do I need? Fortitude? That's vitality. Oh, it's a C. What am I at? Fortitude? I'm at a D. That's not great. Yeah. I don't even think I have one for Fortitude, honestly. But either way, that's what I was trying to get around to. You can basically change your stats up a bit by equipping passives. I just don't have one for Fortitude. Whatever. All these gift codes have pretty much that same idea, to where you can just move towards and make your blood code stronger, as long as you know, just keep adding more to like your arsenal, getting better passives and whatnot. I think that pretty much wraps up the basics, aside from, you know, just buffs being really important during boss fights. Obviously this is going to depend on your blood code, because like my buddy there, he runs Warrior, and Warrior starts off with like 10 Ichor, and for some people that means 1 buff, that's it. So it's really dependent. I like to kind of build my blood code up a little bit before my Ichor up a little bit before I go into a boss fight. I think it's kind of a good idea. When it comes to buffs, it really just depends on what boss you're fighting. Obviously attack and defense are always going to be kind of essential, but I honestly want to say most people are going to have a problem on the second boss in the game, and my only recommendation for you is, I believe it is Mercury, the one I just clicked on. You should be able to acquire Mercury by the time you get into the second boss. Yes, okay, Mercury has a Venom Resistance passive, so just using Mercury, you'll be able to use your, like... Okay, so for instance, because Mercury's kind of like a well-balanced character, you'll be able to use your abilities that you can use on your fighter. So, if you're using Triple Annihilator, and you want that health boost and adrenaline and whatnot, you'll be able to use that whenever you click on her. And basically you'll be able to get that passive. Along with that, something else that might help you is that Venom removal for that second boss. That Butterfly boss is no joke, especially if you don't have friends to help you with that fight. It's quite a learning curve in the beginning. But I think that pretty much covers some of the basics. I feel like some people might just be having a hard time with in the beginning. But I hope that helped some people. See you guys in the next one.